be here. I mean, if you'd have said to me a year ago that I was speaking at a British Islam conference, I would never have believed you. A year ago, exactly to the week actually, there were weekly protests of 300 to 500 people outside my school. I was being accused of being Islamophobic, disrespectful of Islam. I was being called, during a protest, there was a lorry parked outside my school with a loudspeaker system on it, with a man leading chants that I'd never met and still not met actually. And he was calling Mufti Moffat and saying that I was reinterpreting Islamic scriptures and leading children that I would then teach to chant shame, shame, shame. So, a year later, to be speaking at a British Islam conference is just wonderful. And thank you so much for inviting me. It gives you massive hope and confidence for the future because I am here. And why am I here? I'm here because, like you, I believe passionately in the power of dialogue. It's all about dialogue, isn't it? Dialogue to force community cohesion. I wrote that bit down because that was a bit I wanted to get right. But now I can just talk to you about what No Outsiders is. You might have an image of what No Outsiders is. You probably think it's LGBT lessons. That's how it's always couched in the media, LGBT lessons. The Sunday Times actually called No Outsiders sex lessons at one point. There was a headline that said, "I'll defy hate to keep my sex lessons." But there's no sex in No Outsiders. That's not very much LGBT. No Outsiders is about community cohesion and preparing children for life in modern Britain. Because I really liked Shazia's speech where she talked about we're not all the same, we're different. And that's absolutely what No Outsiders is about. Absolutely. We're not the same. And when I first started being a primary school teacher in 1996, I can remember having a display in my classroom. We're all the same. It's just this mantra, we're all the same, isn't that great? But it's the opposite, isn't it, actually? We're not the same, we're different, but that is fantastic. Wouldn't it be boring if we were all the same? It's great that in my class, like if you were in my class now, we're saying, look at this class now, isn't this wonderful? Got beautiful brown skin, beautiful black skin, beautiful white skin, different gender, boys and girls, disabilities, I don't know what's disabilities in here, sexual orientation maybe, different families, different religions, but it's wonderful. That's what makes my class a great class. We're all different, but we all get along. And you know what? That's what UK is about. That's what living in the UK is about. All different, but living together, getting along. It works, and it's a great place to be. And it's about realising that not all children are hearing those messages outside. So, for example, in 2018, I worked in Newcastle. The Home Office asked me to go into 13 schools in Newcastle where the EDL are trying to make a base. EDL were trying to make Newcastle their base. And they asked me, do you think No Outsiders could contribute to sort of stemming that sort of narrative? Absolutely, because No Outsiders is about talking about ways that we're different and embracing that difference. I used to say celebrating, but actually, I've even stopped using that now. It's not about celebrating difference. I don't have to celebrate you being Muslim. Also, you have to celebrate me being gay. But I accept you being Muslim, I embrace you being Muslim, I'll talk to you about it. It's great that you're Muslim, but I'm not going to celebrate it. Now, it's great that I'm gay, but you don't have to celebrate me being gay. I want you to accept me being gay. It's about talking about it, just embracing it, just living alongside each other and just getting along with each other. So I was in Newcastle 6 weeks in different schools and talking to children about ways that we're different, recognising ways that we are different and talking about it. And the reason why No Outsiders works as a concept, it works really well in primary school, is because every child understands what it means to be left out, unfortunately. Every 4-year-old knows what it means to be left out of a game, and no one wants to be left out of a game. So if you're teaching 4-year-olds, there are no outsiders in our school. There are already, goodness me, there are no outsiders in our school. No one's left out. Then they understand that. There's no confusion there. We're teaching children, everyone's welcome in our school, no one's left out, there are no outsiders here. And I use picture books. And I base it on the Equality Act. And the thing about the Equality Act is that we can't leave certain groups of people out. So we can't say, OK, we'll talk about everyone being welcome, but not if you have disabilities. If you're in a wheelchair, we'll just feel uncomfortable about it, so we just won't mention it. We're not going to say that. And at the same time, we can't say, if you're gay, we feel uncomfortable about it, so we won't talk about it. If you're going to teach children, prepare them for life in modern Britain, you teach them about living in the UK, where the Equality Act exists, then you can't pick and choose bits that you feel comfortable with. So yes, we do have to talk to children about different families. But I'm not talking to children about being gay. I'm talking to children about there are different families, and you can have a mum and a dad, we can have just a mum, we can have just a dad, we can have 2 mums, or we can have 2 dads. As they get older, yes, I'm talking about, you can be gay or lesbian or trans, absolutely, yes, because some children are going to be gay, lesbian or trans, and they have to know that they are okay. I'll show you some of the books that I use with 4-year-olds. Blue Chameleon is a lovely book I use with 4-year-olds because it's about a chameleon who is lonely and he tries to make friends. And he thinks you have to be the same colour as someone to be their friend. So he keeps changing colour all through the book. And he also keeps changing shape as well. You have to look like someone to be their friend. At the end, he realises that actually you can just be yourself. That's the books that we're talking about in No Outsiders. It's books like that. This one, the family book, also used with 4-year-olds. I'll read it very, very quickly. Some families are big, some are small, the same colour, different colours. They like to hug each other. They live near each other, live far away. Look like their pets. If they lose someone they love, they are sad. They have stepmums or stepdads, stepsisters or stepbrothers. Some families adopt children. Some families have 2 mums or 2 dads. Some families have 1 parent instead of 2. Oh, hang on a minute. Do you feel like gay wave then? Did you feel it? Did you feel it? Just that page, I think I might have just made you all homosexual. Because, you can make someone gay by reading them a story with that line in it. Do you know that? No, but seriously, people, we could miss that page out, couldn't we? We could read that book and say, do you know what, we'll leave that page out. Sometimes I have 2 mums or 2 dads. Also, we say, well, do you know what, in context, it's just, number one, some families do have 2 mums or 2 dads. And there might be a kid in my class who has 2 mums or 2 dads and needs to know their family is normal and welcome and accepted. But also, if kids don't have 2 mums or 2 dads, well, is there anything wrong with them knowing that some people do? These are the books that I'm using in No Outsiders. So when you hear people talking about, I'm reinterpreting Islamic scriptures and I'm telling a child it's okay to be Muslim and gay, well, not really. I'm telling children that are different families, But I'm using 35 picture books in No Outsiders, 35. Everyone have a guess how many mention LGBT? 4. 2 is a good guess, but it's 4. 4 mention LGBT. So I really don't think it's indoctrination, people. I really don't think it's indoctrination. The books are all about being different, celebrating difference, talking about ways that we are different. And the whole sort of thing about being Muslim and being gay, I'll give you an example of how we navigate that. When we first started doing this work, before I wrote it, I met with parents, I consulted, and I had 11 meetings with parents to say, look, here's how I think we're going to do it. Let's show you books that I want to use. Tell me about it, tell me what you think. And in those meetings, this is 2014 or 2015 we had these meetings, this kept coming up, this line that in Islam it's forbidden to be gay. Are you going to teach children it's okay to be gay? So we had to navigate that. I thought, what can we say here? And her mum said, and I used this line ever since, she said, okay, it's okay. She said, so here's our religion, but here's the way the world is. And our children have got to accept both views, put both views in their head and accept both views. I thought, actually, that's dead clever, that is. That's actually really good. That's how we do it, isn't it? Because we're not saying you've got to pick and choose. This is right, this is wrong. We're just saying, yeah, there's different ideas. There's different ideas in the UK, and we can coexist, we can balance. We're not having to say one is right and one is wrong. And an example of this in practice is that I'm a minibus driver in my school. I was driving a football team to a match a couple of years ago, and there was a lad sitting in the front seat, and I could feel him, he kept looking at me at the corner of his eye. Now, I came out to kids in my school a couple of years ago, no backlash, nothing, no problem at all. Parents knew, no problem at all. So this lad was sitting in the front seat, and eventually he says to me, can I ask you a question, Mr. Moffat? I said, of course you can. And he said, why did you choose to be gay? I said, oh, wow, that's a great question. Why did I choose to be gay? I said, for 5 minutes. I said, why did I choose to be gay? It's a great question. I'm going to answer it by asking you a question. Why did you choose to have brown skin? I said, I didn't choose to have brown skin. I said, oh, no, I didn't choose to be gay. It's just the way I am. He said, oh. And he said, can I ask you another question? I said, yes. And he said, in mosques they tell you that you can't be gay, but you say you can be gay. So which one is it? So I said, oh, you're right. There's loads of different ideas about this. Yes, and the great thing about living in the UK is you can hear different ideas, different beliefs. You can talk about them. Sometimes it's difficult. It's hard sometimes. You might not agree. We can still have respect for each other. We can still get along. We can still talk about it. That's what living in the UK is all about. Actually, I wasn't doing that, so I was driving, but even sooner. But that is what I was saying. And I think that is the answer. Because what alternative is there to that question? Should I say to him, well, mosque is wrong? Of course not. And it's not wrong. It's a belief. That's absolutely fine. But at the same time, I'm gay. So that's not wrong either. So those two ideas have to coexist. They have to coexist. We don't have to change each other's beliefs or views. We can just get along, talk about it, coexist. That's what the message is in No Outsiders. And it's been working brilliantly for 4 years. Not a single complaint at all. It all changed last Christmas with the introduction of the new RSC guidance. And suddenly, I don't know if anyone saw Dr. Kate Godfrey-Fawcett put a thing on YouTube, speaking at a conference. I don't know who she is. She claims to represent the Muslim community. I don't think she does. But she talked about what RSC was going to mean for primary schools. And she says it's going to teach schools about pornography, it's going to sexualise young children, and it's stating for sex education. And very quickly, that's why it all turned around. Very quickly, we had parents panicking in a hysteria about what I was teaching their children, especially as an out gay man as well. And that's where it all came from. But before that, we had 4 years where there was never any problems at all with No Outsiders. I'm going to finish by reading clips from this book. This is my current favourite book. I change my favourite books all the time, but I absolutely love this one. And this really says down to a T about what No Outsiders is all about. Usually it's in year 5 and year 6. We have open No Outsiders lessons where parents come. This is a great one to have as an open lesson. So I haven't got time to read it all. It's by Oliver Jeffers. Here we are. But very basically, he talks about living in the world, and here's the planet, and here's space, and we live on land or sea, and it explains how the world works. And he says on our planet there are people, one people is a person, you're a person, you have a body, look after it, most bits don't grow back. He says, most important thing for people to remember is to eat, drink, and to stay warm. People come in all sorts of shapes and sizes and colours. We all may look different and act different and sound different, but don't be fooled, we are all people. It's the same about animals. And you realise after a bit he's talking to a baby. He says, generally how it works is when the sun is out, it's daytime, we do stuff. The rest of the time it's night time, it's dark, safe for the moon, and we sleep, pleased, in brackets. And then he says, things that sometimes move slowly here on Earth, more often though they move quickly, so use your time well, it will be gone before you know it. And he ends up saying to his baby, he says, that's planet Earth, make sure you look after it, it's all we've got. Now, if you need to know anything else, just ask, I will not be far away. And when I'm not around, you can always ask someone else. You are never alone on Earth. So we look at that last page and we say, what's the dad saying to his baby about if you're not sure about something, or if you don't understand about something? What's he saying the baby should do as he grows up? Ask someone else. Look at all these people. Are they the same or are they different? What's he encouraging his child to do with those different people? He's encouraging them to ask questions. If you're not sure about someone, talk to them, ask a question, and look how many of them are. You're never alone on Earth. There's always someone you can talk to, always someone you can ask a question to. And the essence of this lesson that we're teaching children about is that we shouldn't be frightened of difference. Just like Sazi was saying, difference is a great thing, it's a positive. And if you're not sure about someone, ask them, talk about how we're different. We can get along with anybody. There should be, in fact, no outsiders. I'm going to leave it there. Thank you very much.